Hello, scaredy cats, it's me, Scaredy Matt. And I'm free! No more gimmicks, no more seasonable shenanigans. I can talk about anything I want. Which makes it doubly weird that I chose the topic I picked today. The surreal horror of r/I'm sorry, John, and, Lovecraftian horror Garfield in general. Now I hesitate to talk about this. On my other channel, I made a video that was tangentially related to Garfield, and ever since, I've been sent every single bit of Garfield news, trivia, or, most upsettingly, pornography imaginable. A patron paid me to draw Garfield's feet. So let me just state this for the record. While once I simply did not care about Garfield, I now loathe him. Garfield has worn out his welcome with me. I do not like or care about Garfield. Please do not feel the need to keep me abreast of the latest Garfield happenings. I do not care about lasagna or Mondays. That being said, what is it I wanted to talk about? Some kind of spooky Garfield? I'm Sorry, John is a collection of fan creations collected on a subreddit of the same name, which portray Garfield as a creeping existential horror, something which has gradually grown corrupted and dangerous. John is often portrayed as hiding from the terror he has wrought, but sometimes he's presented as a counterbalance, a holy force to counter Garfield's malevolent influence. And I know that this sounds so wildly specific, like, that can't be a thing, right? It's not a thing, is it? And I assure you, it's a whole thing. The name I'm Sorry, John comes from a comic created in 2013 by the artist Double Baby. A man wakes up in the middle of the night. Some kind of pattern surrounds his wall. He turns on the lamp on his night table, only to find that the pattern has spread itself over everything, engulfing his whole home and all of his furniture. He heads downstairs with a flashlight. Gradually he makes his way to the kitchen, where he sees something which terrifies him. "I'm sorry, John," says a shaky, inhuman voice from off-screen. We see it now. Garfield's face spread over the wall, his flesh spreading out in all directions. "I was so hungry," says the creature that was once Garfield. You've probably seen it before. It's a classic for a reason. It takes a very funny idea and executes it in a genuinely kind of upsetting way. The line work, expressive characters, and tension building up to one splash panel evokes the work of mangaka horror master Junji Ito, who, yes, I'll talk about more someday, don't worry. It is by far the most requested topic I have for this channel. But, the thing is, though, the thing about it is that it's Garfield. So you can't really be scared. It's funny because it is Garfield. And weirdly, the joke just doesn't stop working. Like, you can go as far over the top as you want, and it's always funny to imagine this mass-marketed orange cat as some kind of horrific, unknowable being. It's exactly the type of image that the people who manage Garfield's brand would want to avoid. Seeing these things get popular, you can almost imagine some Viacom marketing executive feverishly trying to think of a way to explain to shareholders why the critical 12 to 25 demo that they want to target views the cuddly orange cat as a world-ending monster, and in a way, he kind of is. I mean, the commercialization that Garfield represents is destructive, all-consuming, trying to effect infinite growth. He's so hungry. There is a certain degree of truth to this joke, because whether or not we like to admit it, Garfield and all the other corporate mascots like him are kind of sinister, like they're designed to trick you into buying stuff, and to appeal to children, and to trick them into buying stuff. And there can be no real art to something like Garfield anymore. Sure, there might have been at one point, but over the years, any aspect of creativity or personality has been gradually shorn away by PR experts and branding consultants until all that remains is an empty shell. Something that used to be a gag-a-day comic, slightly acerbic, something to make you laugh, bring you a little bit of fun, to entertain you. Now it only exists to sell merchandise, to take from you, and grow stronger as it does. I'm Sorry, John is not the first property to play with the surreal, horrific hollowness of Garfield as a property.
Hey, what's up? Hey, it's me, Matt. Did you know that I messed up reading the teleprompter and said the word property twice in the same sentence? Okay, now you know. Okay, bye.
Lasagna Cat, a web series made by the sketch troupe Fatal Farm from 2007 to 2017, gradually morphed from an ironic celebration of Garfield's banality to a somber meditation on the emptiness of their version of Jim Davis's soul. Garfield minus Garfield repurposes existing Garfield comics to remove every character but John Arbuckle. Originally, this was just a viral Photoshop trend, and then they were collected into a webcomic by Dan Walsh, and later, the format was even adopted by Garfield's publisher, Paws Inc. Removing Garfield reframes John as lonely, deeply mentally ill, and wildly unpredictable. There's a genuine pathos that emerges. John seems deeply tormented. And all of this already existed within the comics. It just took removing Garfield to bring it to the surface. It's worth noting that there are variations on this theme, including my personal favorite, Garfield but he's a normal cat, and Garfield minus John, which I feel like misses the point of the exercise a little bit. The whole point is that John seems crazy without Garfield. Garfield still seems like Garfield without John. You can even argue that the roots of this trend towards horror Garfield were established within the published comics themselves. Jim Davis wrote a brief arc where Garfield awakens one day to find out that his whole life has been a delusion he's been experiencing as he slowly starves to death in a rotting house abandoned by John. Look at this note from the omniscient narrator. Garfield says he's alone, and the narrator says, "You have no idea how alone you are, Garfield." I mean, it's all a dream in the end, like Garfield wakes up and it's fine. But what the fuck, dude? What the fuck, Jim Davis? Are you okay? Or The 9 Lives of Garfield, a collection of short stories where various artists and writers put their spin on the franchise, and that has some horror elements sprinkled in there for flavor. Why not? Garfield is uniquely suited to this kind of subversion because of his ubiquity. Everyone knows Garfield. Everyone is familiar with the characters and world. Everyone knows the visual language of Garfield strips. You can have Garfield's flesh spreading across walls and the joke scans because we're familiar with the distinctive pattern that's used to convey Garfield's fur. That recognizability makes him easy to market, but familiarity is also a perfect breeding ground for horror. Nothing is scarier than something you know, something you're comfortable with, something you've been trained to trust, becoming dangerous and unpredictable. Garfield's banality invites reinterpretation. It remains funny and shocking to see macabre things done with the character because you know that the people who own and manage the property would never take that risk. They'd be compelled by the profitability of their franchise to play it safe. And you're so accustomed to that, whether you realize it or not, that the introduction of discordant elements throws you off kilter a little bit. It's like, wait, what? I thought this was Garfield. Why does he look all creepy? r/I'm Sorry John occasionally ventures beyond simply Garfield into other popular media franchises, but a lot of them just lack the same punch. Something like SpongeBob or Power Rangers or Teletubbies doesn't represent the same mass market banality that Garfield does. Those things are popular because they're already real weird. And in the case of Teletubbies, kind of scary in its own right. Like that already frightens people. Garfield really is the perfect storm for this type of reframing. Boring enough that you don't expect something shocking, familiar enough that you know what is being subverted, and iconic enough that the visual elements are easy for amateurs to play around with. I have a feeling that horror-themed Garfield content will remain popular until either it gets oversaturated, which looks like the direction it's going, or Paws Inc. decides to just roll with it and publishes their own horror content and ruins it by actually taking a risk with their property, therefore killing the banality that the joke depends on. Hey, thanks for watching this video about Spooky Garfield. If you liked it, why not hit the like button? That'd be great. That'd be just swell. Also, you can subscribe here for more horror-related content every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please do not send me Garfield pornography. I do not want Garfield pornography. I cannot make that clear enough.